Hey everyone, welcome to Omicron News Network's interview with our president of Omicron, largeTitanic2. Go ahead and say hi, Large.
Hi.
Today
I'm in
I
a good
have
mood.
yeah, I can tell. So today I have a few questions for you. I only have a few because these may be some long questions, especially the first two. They're just very involved questions, I would say. So yeah, let's just get right to it. So our first question I want to ask you: how exactly was Omicron formed?
Okay, so let me begin sort of summarizing it very quickly, but let's just begin from back when I was head of security in Pinewood Builders. So I was head of security and head of intelligence of Pinewood Builders, and Tom Maffei was my head of operations and security commissioner, and Kill was also security commissioner in PBST. And on August 12th, 2016, which was my 16th birthday, Diddleshot put in a rank called Overseer and placed a user named MRDAFG in it, who was a former VP of Pinewood Builders. In short, Overseer was pretty shitty. Now, Overseer was essentially, it oversaw the head of security and basically did the job of the head of security. And so, of course, as you might imagine, myself and my staff felt pretty violated. We didn't think it was fair, and we worked as hard as we could to try and get rid of it. But when anyone would question the overseer's authority, he would throw his weight at us and say, How dare you question my authority?"
Yeah.
And so, because of this, we decided at that point that we weren't very happy with Pinewood anymore. Then along with Kill, Tom, Sirius, you, CP, and Apollo, and a few others, brainstormed and created a group called Spartan Nash, and that was to be the original fallback group in case we all got fired. But eventually, no one liked that name. So on November 8th, 2016, myself, Tom Maffei, Killjoy, and a few other Pinewood intelligence agents decided to leave Pinewood Builders, and on that day, I founded Omicron Incorporated along with Tom, Kill, you, Sirius, and a few others. And it has been in operation for a little over a month now, and I think we're on the right track.
Awesome. So that actually answered my second question, which was what happened on November 8th. Would you be able to go into a little more detail on the events of November 8th?
So I noticed that Serious Business, or the expatriate Wolf is who you know him as, he left his role as PET director because of Pinewood pressures. And at that point, I had lost it. I was very upset at Pinewood for pushing out someone like Sirius, who I implicitly trust, and he's a very good friend of mine. And so at that point, I decided to come into the PBST Discord and to give a speech on it was actually never intended to be a speech. I just came in to talk to people because I was feeling kind of angry. And so I joined in, and people started asking me what happened to Sirius, where Sirius goes, Sirius is gone. And so I decided to talk about it. I thought I could kind of share what I was thinking with them. And so I became very, very angry when I was giving this speech at many different things. And it just that's where it began. As soon as I finished the speech, Diddleshot demoted me from the position of head of security. And at that point, I knew that it had begun. So I organized everyone I could, and we all left. I left as well, and I gotta tell you, clicking the leave group button on PBST and Pinewood Builders was probably one of the scariest things that I'd done on Roblox. And to this day, the fact that I did do it is still kind of scary because I had known Pinewood for years. Pinewood was my home.
Yeah.
So we all left at that point, and things just started happening more quickly than we could control them. We all just began leaving, and some people were just looking at me saying, "What the hell was going on?" And I couldn't answer that. And by the end of in about an hour or two, we were all gone, and things were just very fluid at that point. And what I mean by that is that so many things were happening that I couldn't really keep track of anything. And it was at that point that I just decided to close my computer and sit down and just kind of take everything in and make sure that I got my bearings. So that's how November 8th happened. And Diddleshot contacted me and was pissed, and I kind of just ignored him. But later on, I did rage back at him, and that's all that happened.
All right, that's pretty crazy, I gotta admit. So going into our next question, are there multiple reasons that you left Pinewood, or is it just because of what happened with Sirius?
Multiple reasons. The main reason was that I was growing very, very, very tired of Chairman Diddleshot's leadership. I was growing very tired of him ignoring the things that other people were doing. I was growing very tired of his inactivity, his His inactivity wasn't exactly the problem. It was the fact that he would appoint no one else to have creative control over anything besides him. And because no one had control over anything besides PBST, really, that's all we really had control over, including death, Pinewood couldn't operate. We couldn't create new games. We didn't have access to new. We couldn't create new clothing. In fact, one of my staff members, Daywatch, who is a development team member over here at Omicron, he made several times for Pinewood new logos, new uniforms, and the same goes for Wiki the Unicorn. They both made things for Pinewood on a regular basis, and their things were frequently and just constantly declined, and they weren't given any reason other than Diddleshot didn't want to change. And that was the breaking point for me. I could not deal with a leader who refused to change his ways under all circumstances. And by the time we left, I was ready to start something of my own.
Oh, okay. Now, here's a big question for you. Do you regret your decision so far?
No. I regret that I lost so many good friends who decided to stay behind in Pinewood and see if they could fix it. But I do not regret my decision.
And how do you feel about the current state of Pinewood?
I believe that, like Pinewood always has, it will probably recover to some point, but I don't think that Pinewood is ever going to be anything compared to Think, Build, Create, JK Production, or Omicron Incorporated, or Innovation for that matter. Even though Innovation is inactive, it still is pulling along quicker than Pinewood Builders is, and that is the very sad thing. I just have a message for everyone in Pinewood. Pinewood sucks you in. It really does. And it sucks me in too. You get into it and you think that it's going to be fantastic and you work your ass off and you try your best. But when you get to a position that I got into, you realize the cold, hard truth that you just can't change anything. You get to the point where you're just stuck. You can't move. Diddleshot won't let you. The PBV won't let you. Actually, I take that back. Most of the people in the PBV want things to change, but most of them have just given up by now because they just can't move Diddleshot. No one can move Diddleshot. And Pinewood is just this fantastic and huge community full of people that want nothing but influence and want nothing but change. And that's the one thing they can have, because Pinewood will never give them that. And that's what everyone in Pinewood has to realize. You have to figure out what you want. You have to look at what you have and realize that Pinewood's going down the drain. Do not let Pinewood suck you in only to disappoint you. Leave or stay, but don't devote so much time. Don't put years of your life into it. It isn't worth it. Pinewood will not give you what you want. It will just disappoint you.
So I actually have one more question for you. Where do you see Omicron to be in the future?
Like most of these Pinewood splinter groups, like TBC, JKR, and us, every company starts small, and we're pretty small at this time with about 60 people on and off. We get 60, and then it goes down, and then we get 60 again. But I'm not too concerned with member count right now. As it says in the description, we exist to create a community of people that satisfies not only ourselves, but people around us. But what that means is that we want to make people happy. We want to bring people together where they can create and do what they want in a place that will adapt to them as well as them adapting to us. We know what I see. To answer your question, where I see Omicron going, once summer comes along and we actually get on our feet and get the real work started, I see Omicron exploding and getting very big, very popular.
That sounds pretty great, and I am personally excited for that because I would like to see Omicron grow as well.
No promises, but we will try.
So those are all of the questions that I have for you today. Thank you very much, Large. It was a pleasure interviewing you.
Sure. I'm just glad you caught me at a time and I was in a mood to do this.
Yeah, and I would like to thank the audience for listening. I will see you all in the next video.